Now this for everybody fighting through the pain and the pressure. You know life will try to test you, but you promise not to give up for your mama and your sister, your brother and your cousin, everybody else that's with you. You the one that's gonna deliver like Amazon Prime. Always on time, yeah. Even when it's looking bad, I never stop trying, cause I've been stressing, I've been crying. My depression had me blind. Sometimes I can't see the signs, but I keep going, I ain't lying. It's for everyone that's grinding for their kids, you're not alone. It's for every child that promised they gon' buy their mama home. For all my 9-to-5ers going hard to make that green clock out, then you just go harder, cause you still got chase that dream. For all my starving, evolving artists, just keep going hard, regardless how people talking about us. You gon' build that startup.
Hello. I am here waiting for Miss June. Well, hello everyone. I guess I am going to kick us off. June is a very dear friend of mine. She has actually been coaching me, a friend to me. We've come onto our career journey together. And I saw this announcement on the Talent Awards 2021, and our dear friend June was nominated. And you guys, the crazy thing to see is all of the people that she's nominated with and just how far she's come and all of the momentum that she's had. I'm just here to celebrate June and share with you guys a little bit more about this award. And I just think there's so much to celebrate with everything you have going on, June. There she is. Oh, you're on mute.
I had to get it together just because I got some news this morning, and you were like the first person I wanted to reach out to because you've been part of this journey, and I don't even know where to begin. I wanted to do this live today to share a little bit more about my story. As you know, I am starting my new role at Facebook as a technical recruiter for DE&I, and I'm going to be taking a break for a few weeks from doing lives, and I wanted to take this opportunity to host this live to share some tips to help you in your career, specifically tips on how to break into tech. And this morning, I received new. What happened, Julie? I can't even talk right now.
So let me ask some questions of June. So first of all, why don't you go over, so this Talent Award of 2021 is from LinkedIn, right? And so what's their purpose with this award?
So it's an awarding thought leader. So I've been nominated. So this is the news that just was announced. And my dear good friend of mine, Jennifer Garibay, she's actually also nominated. So it's Talent Awards 2021. And what they do is they recognize people in the community from different categories, from DE&I, from community building. In this category, I was recently announced as a nominee for Best Talent Voices.
And so what's cool about this, June, it's you've started this LinkedIn journey. I actually followed June at the very beginning when she started out this journey, and she announced her layoff and that, redirection, and it was a personal inspiration to me. But it's just been over a year that you started this and you're getting nominated for this. Am I right? A year and a half? Since
yeah, I'm like lost the words right now.
That's incredible. I mean, I think that's the part that's so cool to us and everyone else who's following you, right? Is like the work that you've done and the results that you're getting, right? And recognition in that amount of time. Because I think in my mind and a lot of other people's, it's like this big unattainable journey, right? And it's going to take so long. But think of all you've accomplished in the last year and a half. And this is such a key to that. So how does this award compare to some of the other recognition make you feel? Why is this one important?
Because this is where it started, really. And I know you've been following me since my layoff. And I share this all the time on LinkedIn. A lot of people that have been following my journey, because of the pandemic, I lost my job last year. And I was in a position where I couldn't go back to work right away. I wanted to take the time to, be present with my children, help them adapt to virtual learning. But there's always something inside me where I want to help the community and help and give back. And what I did is I just leveraged my transferable skills in recruiting and just started showing up on LinkedIn and sharing advice to job seekers and kind of giving that light and sense of hope that they need to look forward to. Like, job searching is stressful. Job searching in a pandemic is even more stressful, right? So I think the reason why this recognition is to be even nominated with all of these great people with all of these.
Shout out a few of the names on here of the people who are on the list, because this is incredible.
First of all, I mean, Susan David, TED speaker, The Gift of Power of Emotional Courage. Erin Mitchell, director of HR, Netflix Animation Studio. Netflix. Bentley Dave Bayer, head of human capital management at Goldman Sachs. Global head of people analytics and HR technology, Serena Hung. Yes.
There's a really incredible group. So and you're about to start at Facebook, right? I mean, you're literally on Monday starting at Facebook.
Yeah.
That is so cool. Well, I am so proud of you. I wanted to make sure that you shared this with your group, because so much of your story, June, like for me personally, as someone who's followed you, is about you being able to do anything and you sharing with everyone like how they can do it too. And so when I was a new mom, and my daughter was born March 27, 2020. So for the first time, I was being a mom and going through a pandemic. That's why your story was so important to me, right? Was you directly were being a mom, figuring out your career, looking at so many options and saying, I don't want to just work and be a mom. I want to help people do this too. And so that completely resonated with me, and I followed you, and now I'm your biggest fan, right?
Oh my God, well, I'm your biggest fan too. And like, that's what I wanted to do on LinkedIn too, is because, and I shared this in a recent post, is I couldn't really relate to anyone on LinkedIn. I didn't see anyone that looks like me. I didn't see enough moms sharing their story of how it is to balance working and raising children. And I wanted to change that narrative on LinkedIn. That's why I started showing up. And I know you're watching your baby, so if you have to get going, let me, like, you can get your hop off. Yeah. But I asked Julie to join me because I thought she was the perfect person to hop on here, because I did this to really just support the community. I wanted to, again, be a light of hope. And I was that for Julie. She was constantly sending me DMs, and despite like the depression and anxiety that I was going through during 2020, these messages and this feedback from the community kept me going, right? And now, do you want to share really quickly, what it's been like for you?
Yeah. I am on mom duty. So at any moment, if I fly off the screen, I'm here. But that's kind of it, right? Is we're chatting and balancing motherhood. And I've started my own company. So I have about 15 years in the talent, staffing, human capital space. And, going through the pandemic and taking some time off and being a mom, June really inspired me when she started to build her own business and started to use her voice. And I thought and looked at going back to taking another job and some opportunities. And for me, I thought, I mean, if June can do this, I can do this. And I really want in this part of my life and my career to be focused on impact, right? And so can I do this? Can I start a company? And now here I am, I have clients, and we're helping people, and our mission is so solid. And part of what we're doing is we're helping moms actually get back to work. So now, inspired by you, I have a company where I'm directly working with moms who have taken breaks and figuring out how to position and get back to work. And, I just love that. Think about how that passes on from you to me to the people I'm working with and on. We're so powerful together, and this tool of LinkedIn is so powerful that I'm just so inspired. And so I'm here for June's ride 100%, and she's so much of my journey, and I just am excited to celebrate you today. So I know you have content today, and you're going to give tips, and there's people who are here for that, and I'm not trying to take away from it.
No, you can take.
This is such an important moment, like to celebrate and to recognize you going into your dream job on Monday. Really seeing the success and beyond success, impact, right? Like the impact that you're making on people like me and all the other people here. So I just to everyone here who's part of this community and leveling up and cheering each other on and cheering June on. I mean, you're doing it and inspiring all of us. And I'm so proud of you. And I'm so excited for you. And I'm so grateful for you and all that you're doing on LinkedIn.
Oh, well, I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for everyone that's tuning in. Graciella's here, Dahara, Selena, Harlene. I wanted to bring up Graciela because she lives here in my local city here in Hayward. And I wanted to share this really quickly because this was a part of what I wanted to do today is share how it all started for me in recruiting. And kind of, I'm having a full circle moment because it all ties to me being a mother. And I shared this in a recent post yesterday when I announced that I was going to Facebook. I took a year and a half off from work, just, hey, Gabe, just to embrace that new journey of being a mother. And I think you know this, Julie, but so what I did is was going through some, a little bit of postpartum depression, the baby blues, and it was really the first time where I did lose my identity because I was working since I was 13. And so what I went ahead and did to really overcome that depression and to get my identity back, I started to volunteer for this nonprofit called No Excuse Mom. And how everything ties in together with Facebook was because I leveraged Facebook groups to start recruiting members to join this free group. And I started recruiting local NEM leaders to start their own groups in the community. And this would be essentially the experience. And this is why I'm sharing this with everyone here and on LinkedIn, if you're watching live, if you're watching the replay, because the key thing we're talking about today is how to break into tech, right? I know that there's some stigma around working gaps, right? And the thing is I always encourage hiring managers, companies, employers to really appreciate those gaps in between their careers, people's careers, because those are the defining moments, right? Yeah. For me, that was a transitional year for me. And if I didn't have that year off from work, I wouldn't be where I am today, going into Facebook, my dream company, as a D&I recruiter, being nominated for a LinkedIn Talent Award. Like, what the heck? But it was because of this defining moment this year for me where this is where it all started. That year in 2014, when I became a new mom, I discovered my passion of building community. And that actually helped me overcome that depression. Yeah. So you want to say anything on that?
It's so important because, and I'm like, so everything I'm doing, right, is about, revolutionizing the way we hire, to see people for who they are, who they can be, and who they want to be. Because like you said, we're not just our professional experience, right? We're the things in our gaps. We're not what happened to us. We're what we did from them. And don't you want to get to know that about people? I mean, me becoming a mom has brought me so much motivation, right? Has brought me so much perspective and so much empathy and so much understanding of other people, right? And so much, desire and motivation to make the world a better place now for my daughter. That's powerful. That's not a gap. That's not something to look down upon, right? I mean, I'm so much better for what I can bring and who I am for it. But right now, the current system, because I don't have a degree, right, or that gap would limit me if I was pursuing that route. And I think we're really missing on that. And we need to adjust, the hiring process. So I love the work we do with candidates, but a lot of the work I'm doing is with hiring managers on their actual process to adjust the way they go about because they're missing really good talent.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's like hiring people for like their potential and like leveraging their transferable skills. Like I always say this here, I preach this all the time on LinkedIn. Companies need to hire more people like from diverse backgrounds. I mean, studies have shown that companies are more successful and more productive when they do that. So as far as creating that inclusive environment, obviously we're both huge advocates for mothers, and like you said, like all of these skills as a mom, like we are putting how many hours of labor.
Well, and it's 24/7. The way you learn to manage your life and your household, and I mean the skills that I had, like you have to gain, right? And I'm so much better for it. And that should be seen, right? And kind of the market not look down upon, right? And I think that with everything we go through.
Yes, I agree. Thank you so much.
Take a breath. You're good. I know you're ready to go into your content. Let's all celebrate this huge win for you, this momentous moment. Just checking in. And to everyone here, I know they're fans of June. I'm a huge fan of June. It's nice to meet you all. I just wanted to make sure she came and shared on this really, really big moment of hers, because I think it represents to all of us, right, the opportunity to learn from you and to do the same things ourselves. And so
I also want to mention too, that's a good point, is like I went to creating content on LinkedIn because I wanted to share my story in hopes that it was going to help people navigate through these weird times. I didn't go into attention that I'm going to get a reward one day, right?
Yeah.
I wasn't focused about the numbers, the metrics, or anything. And so when you go into a place where all you want to do is give value and give back to your community, it's going to reward you somehow. I'm a huge, huge believer of the law of attraction. And just to receive this, I don't know. I FaceTimed Julie. I was like crying all morning because when I got the notification that I was nominated for the LinkedIn Talent Awards. I'm like, is this real life right now? So this is why she's here to help me.
But it's also, like you said, because it is the award and all the things, it's great. But like the moment of tears come from all the moments and hard work. It's like you go, and we all know June goes. It's like a moment of pause, of recognition of all the hard work, right? The award's amazing, but it's really the pause as to like, wow, look at all you've done, and the recognition to stop and like really think about that.
Yeah, and take a pause. And I wanted to say this too. This is why I'm always encouraging job seekers, entrepreneurs, side hustlers, to leverage LinkedIn more than a job board, more than an opportunity for you to source potential clients, but an opportunity to make an impact, right? And make a difference, because you never know who's watching. I always say this, I'm a broken record, who's watching or reading your content on LinkedIn, and you never know how it's going to impact. I didn't know the LinkedIn team they were proactively looking at my content. I went into it just to go into a position where I'm just giving back. So
and seeing that opportunity, I did a post about not having a degree, and I couldn't believe the response it had in all those individual messages of people reaching out, of when you put out your story, it allows people who feel the same way, like space, right? It gives people space who may have things in common with you or struggles that you've had, to give them encouragement. And so I think that's what you do every day. And that's what I'm trying to learn from you, to be able to share more.
I love Martha's comment here. Scream it from the rooftop so people know others can. Well, I'm screaming at you.
I love it.
Okay, I think I'm going to go into my content, but thank you so much.
Everyone have a great chat, and way to go, June. I'm so excited for you. You're absolutely amazing. And to everyone on here, just keep going and keep encouraging June. And we're just learning from you. We're so grateful for you.
We learn from each other. I learn from you every day. I learn from this community every day. So it's all about just creating a very collaborative environment where we learn from each other.
So powerful. Back to Mama Duty.
Okay. Well, thank you so much.
Bye.
I'll see you soon. All right. Okay. So sorry for the, I just had this, I was supposed to write notes as far as different topics I wanted to share on how to obviously break into tech. But that's the news of that recognition and being nominated with those other powerful leaders in the talent and just community. It just caught me off guard. So I wanted to talk about today. I'm going to get my hard helmet on, and this is something that I just wanted to kind of share a story with you. Build with June all stemmed and started from a blog that I created back in, what was it, I want to say it was 2018, 2019, where I just wanted to share my experience and share advice of, what it's like to be a working mom in tech, right? And it kind of just evolved because of my layoff to a side hustle, career coaching business. But I've been kind of playing with this character on TikTok, Build with June. And I always say, Build with June, your LinkedIn profile is under construction. So I was hoping to do this live with this hard helmet on, but I hope it's not a distraction. But But yeah, this is why we're here today, is how to give tips for you on how to break into tech. So if you have any questions, let me know. I see Gabe here. He has a question here. Let's see. Is finding talent in the technical sector any more difficult or different than other professional fields? I want to say, I think the misconception is that, if you don't have that technical experience, that it may be a little bit difficult for you to break into the tech industry. But speaking from my background, I had no experience in tech, right? It's all about just taking an inventory. It's not, I wouldn't necessarily say it's more difficult than getting into the healthcare field, right? Into the entertainment industry. It's just all about, we're talking about how to break into tech. And if you are coming from like a retail background, which I have, prior to me joining the recruitment, I'm going to take this off because this is distracting me. So here is my first tip when it comes to how to break into tech. If you are in a position in your personal life, in your career, where you're ready to make a move, you really want to break into the tech industry but don't know where to start, what I would suggest doing is take an inventory of your current skills. I've actually just written a post about this, I want to say a few weeks ago. Current skills that you have in your current role. I'm going to give myself as an example. So the majority of my career prior to me joining the talent industry as a recruiter, I was doing retail sales. I mean, you can see on my LinkedIn profile, before I started at Aerotech as an agency recruiter. I took some time off, obviously, when I had my first child, but I was working as a business banker at Chase Bank in retail banking. Prior to that, I was working at Verizon Wireless as a retail sales representative. So the majority of my experience was in retail sales. It was a great opportunity to really build that foundation of relationship building. And I was not really happy, or I didn't like the sales experience just because, or I didn't like the sales role. It wasn't for me just because I did not like having to worry about hitting aggressive quotas each month, right? But what I did like about the sales role is the opportunity to meet people, help people understand their problems, and present solutions to them to help them, move their business along forward, or help them, help them with whatever I'm sorry, I'm like kind of lost the words because I'm still kind of gathering myself. At the end of the day, what I liked about that position in sales, or my sales career, was the opportunity to build those relationships and identify and really understand and use my active listening skills with my customers, with my clients, and then present them solutions that are going to help them move their business forward, right? So when I was ready to make a move into tech, into recruiting, I looked at those transferable skills and I tailored my resume to match that, right? To the roles that I was applying for. I talked about these transferable skills and how it could actually be beneficial in a recruitment role. So essentially, if you're a recruiter, it's pretty much like sales. You're presenting opportunities to candidates, selling the company mission, the values, and then vice versa. You're advocating for the candidate to your hiring managers, selling the hiring managers to their experience. So my suggestion for you is, if you are looking to pivot to any industry, is really take the time to do an inventory check of your skills, and then look at different job descriptions that require those skills in companies, and then kind of make that move, or just kind of decide, maybe these are the roles that could benefit from my skills that I enjoy doing. Does that make sense? Let me know if it does. Okay. Oh, I see Andrew Bennett. I have lots of experience in retail too. What did you do, Andrew? Let me know. Thank you, Eddie, for being here. Eddie also has, she just started a new role at Google, and she was in my previous live a couple of weeks ago, but she has a great story too, as far as how she was able to pivot into tech. So it's just all about just really leveraging the skills and experiences that you're most passionate about, and then selling it to your employer, right? So, okay, let's see. I'm gonna take a sip of water before I go on my next tip. Okay. So first tip, do an inventory of your skills. Second tip, and I'm going to share this with you because this is how I broke into tech. So it's very common in Silicon Valley tech companies to use contingent staffing, contract staffing to hire for special products, right? Sometimes they have a product launch they know they need support on, but not necessarily they don't need to hire someone full time, so they hire contractors and partner with staffing agencies to help support those projects. So if you're looking to break into tech, I always suggest to being open to contract positions because that's how I actually that's what kind of opened the doors for me. I was working at Aerotech as a full-time agency recruiter, and I knew that I always wanted to go into in-house corporate tech recruiting, and I had this great opportunity to join Google as a contract recruiter. And what's great about contracts is there tends to be a little bit more flexibility on candidates' experiences, backgrounds, and I really want to encourage job seekers to look at that contract. And actually, Jennifer, who's also nominated, she's actually, I was going to pull up the list, but Jennifer Garibay, she works at Google now as a full-time recruiter. She has a great story. So she started off as a contract recruiter or sourcer, and she just recently, I think sometime last year, got converted as a full-time sourcer. So contracts are a great way to get your foot in the door in a new industry. And, I really want to encourage people to look at that as a long-term interview, right? So if you go into a tech company and you do really well and you start networking with internal employees, you could definitely get an opportunity to convert to a full-time position. So second tip is consider contracts to help get you into tech companies because that will just kind of level up your experience. Yes, Eddie, transferable skills. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, what's next? I'm going to probably just share maybe 2 more tips, but let me know if you have any other questions. Okay, I'm going to take more sip of water here. Let me see here. Let me know if you have any questions. Okay, the third tip I want to say, especially like, for example, Andrew just mentioned that he has lots of experience in retail. Another tip too, if you're looking to break into the tech industry, and I talk about this all the time on LinkedIn. Say if, for example, back in the summer, I was hosting a workshop on LinkedIn and resume at a local community college, and one of the students asked me, I'm going to be completing my bachelor's degree in marketing, really want to break into the tech industry. But right now I'm currently working at Whole Foods as a cashier or a clerk. So my suggestion is if you are looking to pivot into a new industry, particularly tech, leverage LinkedIn as a platform to connect with people that have transitionally made that pivot from one industry to another. Right. So what I went ahead and did is I shared with the whole class, I shared how you could basically just leverage LinkedIn, the search bar on the top, on the left, and treat that as like a Google search. You could literally, with the filters, you could find, we actually did this, like demoed it in the workshop. We were able to find people that work at Google, because Google was one of his target companies, people that are in the marketing role at Google that has past or previous experience working at Whole Foods. So the reason why I'm sharing this example is because you could technically, once you identify people that have worked in previous companies or similar companies as yourself, maybe you could also connect with alumni from your university, from colleges, or even community colleges. You could proactively reach out to them on LinkedIn and say, hey, Eddie, I see that you've worked at Univision. I think she worked at Univision as an HR coordinator, HR manager. I see, I'm currently there at Univision, and I've always dreamt of working at Google. I see that you made that successful transition from Univision to Google. Would love to hear a little bit more about how you made that transition and if there's any advice that you could share with me, right? So I know it could be a little bit intimidating as far as blindly reaching out to people on LinkedIn. But if you go into a place of being curious and wanting to learn how they were able to make that pivot, then people are always willing to give back. They're always, like for me, I'm always trying to give back and help people that I'm always trying to help. I'll say this, I'm always trying to help myself, like who I was like 10 years ago, right? So is that right, Eddie? Yes, you got that right. Thanks, Eddie. Please follow Eddie. She also shares amazing advice, and we are going to be doing more collaboration soon. Okay, last question here. Okay, so Yahira, hope I'm saying that right. Let me know if I am. What can you say or do when someone says you are a great candidate but don't have enough experience? That's a good question. And I see this happening a lot too, where the person could be, I mean, I could talk about my experience. Like I didn't have, I was rejected twice at Facebook. And what I would suggest, like, was this like a recent interview, Yahira, that you went through? Let me know if it was. But what I would say is, like, for example, say if you were interviewing for a particular role that's needed, like say if you're interviewing for like a business analyst role, right? And one of the requirements is SQL, but you don't have the SQL experience. So what if they go to Yahira saying, you have a great background. You can definitely see that you are a culture fit for this company, but you're just missing one little qualification. You don't have SQL experience. What I would do is go back to them and say, yes, although I don't have SQL experience, I do have experience using Tableau, using Excel, using Google Sheets, and I'm able to pull and create different tables and charts to organize data, right? So you never want to be in a position where you say, yeah, I don't have that experience. What you want to do is speak confidently about what experience you do have. And say if, especially too, if you are transitioning into a new career, like for example, let's share this example of, say if you are looking to pivot into like social media or marketing, right? But you don't have, actually, I'm going to give you another example, and I don't think she's here, but a good friend of mine, Valerie, she, for the majority of her experience, it was in purchasing and buying and fashion. And when she was laid off last year, she decided that she wanted to pivot into content writing, content marketing, being a content writer. And she was actually actively interviewing for a few roles. I'm not going to share her whole story because she's not here. But what I love about Valerie's story is, although she didn't have experience from a company, because she had interest in content writing and being a content writer, she created her own blog. And she's leveraged Pinterest to market that blog. And she's actually driven a ton of traffic to this blog. And this is a great example because she never had corporate experience as a content writer, but because she was able to leverage her personal blog or passion project, she was able to land interviews at some great organizations because she leveraged that blog. She was actually, I think one of the interviews that she has done in the past was because they came across her blog on LinkedIn or on Pinterest. So my answer for you, or my tip for you, Yahira, is if you don't technically have that experience from a major tech company or a corporate company, maybe start a passion project or a business, right? Freelance on the side, or even volunteer. One of my friends, she actually also made the pivot from retail banking to tech as a customer success manager. And prior to her joining this tech company, she was doing relationship banking. So she was looking for work on the market for a few months, wasn't really getting any traction. But what she did is she started volunteering for nonprofits helping them with their social media, with their marketing, helping with like networking with potential companies they could partner with. Long story short, she's actually leveraged that experience, talked about it in her interviews, put it on her resume. And even though she had a gap of experience on her resume, there was like maybe like a year and a half gap, she was able to pivot and get hired as a customer success manager in tech. So it's just all about how you market yourself, right? And yes, there is going to be rejections. Companies are going to tell you that you're not qualified, that you don't have experience. I want to encourage the community and job seekers, don't let that bring you down. I just posted about this yesterday, I made a video. Rejection is a redirection, right? Take that time to take a pause and say, okay, maybe it's not time for me right now, but what do I need to do to help move the needle, right? So I hope that answers your question. Any last minute questions? I do have to hop off because I have a meeting at 1. Let me know. Oh, I love that, Yahira. Okay, awesome. That is what I'm doing. I'm volunteering for my friend's startup. Yahira, I want to tell you this. Post your journey on LinkedIn. Share what you've been doing at your friend's startup. I think you said, I don't know what you want to do. Do you want to get into UX design? Is that what you said? The reason why I say this is because there's so much opportunity to get visibility from directors, decision makers, hiring managers. I think the last time I checked, I think there's over 800 million people on LinkedIn. So once you start sharing your content, sharing your experience of working at your friend's startup, talking about the process of UX design, what does your workflow look like, maybe sharing tips to other people that are pursuing the same journey. This should be part of your job search as far as posting on LinkedIn, just because I've known so many people in my own network, even speaking for myself, where I've landed opportunities because I showed up on LinkedIn and I started creating content. This is a good question. Yes, 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 yes. Okay, here's another misconception that I want to leave you with too, because I have to hop off. There's a misconception with the tech industry that you need to be an engineer. You have to code, right? I spent the majority of my career in tech recruiting for non-technical roles. So the majority of the roles I was hiring for was in business development, marketing, sales, communications, social media, finance, accounting. And for these particular roles, you don't necessarily need the tech background. But yes, there's so much opportunity to pivot into the tech world, into a non-technical position, such as engineering. So yes. Oh, Laura, you are late. Oh, Laura is a fellow No Excuse Mom leader that I've known. I talked about this earlier, Laura. I actually shared, because as you know, I'm starting at Facebook next week. I brought it back to where it all started, Laura. How my passion for community and recruiting kind of started with No Excuse Mom. So I am wrapping up here. But thank you everyone for tuning in. I'm so grateful for this community. So I hope these tips help you break into tech. I will just wrap up with what we talked about today. So first tip is, if you are looking to break into tech, take an inventory of your skills. Narrow it down to the top 3-5 skills that you enjoy doing the most, right? After that, what you're going to go ahead and do is research different positions that require those skills where you can make an impact, right? And and then after that, start having networking chats with people that have made those pivots from your current industry into tech. Set up networking chats, exploratory chats, learn about their journeys, see if they could have any advice to share with you, and foster that relationship. Because here's another extra tip. This is kind of like a BOGO, right? Where I'm sharing a bunch of tips to you. You're gonna get this one for free. I say this all the time too. Tech companies reward their employees with referral bonuses for referring great people like you all. So if you had made that connection with someone on LinkedIn and you start fostering that relationship, you could go into a position where you feel comfortable. You could ask, hey, Laura, thank you so much for the advice. I know that we've been talking and you've been really helping me in my job search for a month, for a few weeks. I actually came across this position at your company. And based on my experience and the advice that you shared with me, do you think that I'll be a good fit for this role? Or do you think I could be a good fit for your company? Assuming they're going to say yes, they are going to say yes, right? Then you ask, would you be able to refer me to the recruiter, to the hiring manager? So do that. Okay, so we went to networking. We talked about, staffing, contracts. Contracts are a great way for you to break into tech. Think of it as a long-term interview. Start a side hustle, start a passion project. If you don't have the right experience, but you want to gain experience, volunteer, start a passion project. And I think that's it, right? Thank you, Yahira. I hope this all helps. I will be taking a break from lives. I may be a little bit quiet on LinkedIn just because I really want to get settled in my new role, but I appreciate you all so much. Thank you again for tuning in on this Friday. I will see you in a few weeks. We are taking a pause on the second season of Career Hustle and Flow, but we will see you soon. And I hope you all have a great weekend. Happy Halloween. And thank you so much for being here. And see you soon.
Now this for everybody fighting through the pain and the pressure. You know life will try to test you, but you promise not to give up for your mama and your sister, your brother and your cousin, everybody else that's with you. You the one that's gonna deliver like Amazon Prime. Always on time, yeah. Even when it's looking bad,